Dubai, with its skyscrapers and extravagant shopping malls, is the picture of a city that defies the imagination. Everything there is grandiose, luxurious, and meticulously designed to impress the world. But this glamorous city, which many see as the capital of the future, has a side that few know about. A hidden side where gold crumbles into dust and glamour gives way to a harsh and suffocating reality. That place is called Sonapur. For most visitors, Sonapur is just an unknown name, a spot off the tourist map. But for thousands of migrant workers, it is the very definition of survival. Today, Kevin Wrights will take you to see this visceral contrast between two Dubais, one where luxury shines brightly, and another where the struggle for the basics is a constant. Dubai is located on the southeast coast of the Persian Gulf, right in the heart of the Arabian Desert, a strategic position that easily connects it to the Middle East, Europe, Asia, and Africa. It is part of the United Arab Emirates, a federation of 7 emirates, and Dubai is just one of them. That surprises a lot of people, doesn't it? In addition to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates includes Abu Dhabi, Fujairah Ras, Al Khaimah, Sharjah, Al Khayyam, and Ajman. Although Dubai is surrounded by the glitter of tall skyscrapers and vibrant lights, today around 85% of Dubai's population is made up of foreigners. They come from all over South Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Africa, and even America. This melting pot of culture seems to make the city a unique place where there is room for everyone, right? And in a way, there really is room for everyone. But of course, some stay at the top while others barely manage to stay at the bottom. In Sonapur, the worker's life is a painful contrast to the luxury of the center. There, the houses are makeshift shacks unfinished without doors or windows, where the heat is almost unbearable. In a city where temperatures reach 50 degrees, ventilation is minimal, and cooling systems are a distant privilege. But then why do these people accept living in these conditions? The answer is far more complex than you might think. Well, it's worth remembering that people who leave their respective countries are in search of better conditions. So many of these workers hope that with the money they receive, they will be able to support their families' studies and provide better living conditions for their families back home right well. Unfortunately, there is a kind of mafia here. Many companies go to countries such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, and Nigeria who got banned from entering recently, and the Philippines to hire workers and bring them here brusquely, under the promise that they will have housing, food, and transportation, everything they need, even medical insurance. But the reality is quite different. When these workers land in Dubai, they realize that the promises are just empty words. The much vaunted improvement in their lives turns into something more akin to slavery. It is disguised as a job, but you might be wondering why they don't just leave. Most of them lose their rights the moment they set foot in the United Arab Emirates. As soon as they arrive, their employers confiscate their passports and send them straight to Sonapur, where they are virtually isolated. To make matters worse, local legislation is not on the side of immigrants. Dubai may have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the world, around 0.05%, but this hides a complicated reality. Those who lose their jobs have just 30 days to find a new occupation, or they will be deported. In other words, many are forced to take any job that comes along, which is the only way to keep going. And so, these workers end up trapped in a cycle where they live with countless restrictions, saving the bare minimum to send some money to their families when they can most live in extreme need, struggling even to cover basic expenses. Want an example? The salary of a cleaner in Dubai is around 800 dirhams a month, approximately $200 of this amount. He sends more than half to his family and uses the rest to support himself. It may seem like an acceptable salary when compared to the minimum in some countries, but we mustn't forget that the cost of living in Dubai is very high. To give you an idea of the rent for a small bed space, one may require at least 300 to 4,000 dirhams. Can you imagine trying to live on such a tight salary in a place where everything costs so much? The solution is to share. On average, each worker shares a room with 5 other people to save as much as possible and guarantee the basics: food, clothing, and transportation. These workers' days are long and exhausting. Often, the men who work in Sonapur don't even have the minimum conditions to maintain their hygiene. The accommodation for migrant workers in Dubai, known as work camps or labor camps, often has precarious conditions. In these places, it is common for several workers to share small rooms with a capacity for up to 10 or 15 people in spaces of around 10 square meters. The sanitary facilities are usually communal, with toilets and showers shared by a large number of residents, often in an inadequate state of repair. There is almost no shower. The solution for many is to use a bucket. The kitchen is communal and visibly dirty and totally out of line with the quality standards of other countries, with several workers crowded into spaces that are normally built for themselves. The most frightening thing is that even the pipes and ventilation spaces were built by the workers without supervision by the responsible bodies. Although many of these accommodations offer air conditioning due to the high temperatures in the region, maintenance is not always adequate, affecting the workers' quality of life. In other words, it's almost inhumane, and so the salaries, which at first seemed like a promise for the future, turn out to be insufficient to cover expenses and send money home. The expectation of prosperity turns into a struggle to simply survive. Many of these immigrants end up getting into debt and living in a cycle of poverty and exhaustion, where the hope of a fresh start becomes more and more distant. Can you understand now why they won't leave? How can you leave with no passport, no money, and tied up in debt? Not to mention the fact that many of these workers don't get paid. It's not hard to find workers with signs begging their employers to pay them what they owe so they can go home. And it is in this scenario, bleak in itself, that even more disturbing events arise. Imagine spending years away from your family in a place where the distance is not just physical, but emotional. These workers arrive with dreams and energy, but as time goes by, the promise of a better life in Dubai turns into a crushing routine that consumes the body and spirit. They work without rest, without seeing the end of a journey that drags on and on, while the opulence of the city shines in the distance untouched. And it's not just the physical exhaustion. The mental battle is brutal. The loneliness is constant. The emptiness is immense. And many end up falling into a state of apathy, in which every day seems the same, without color, without hope that the Dubai glow, which once represented a new beginning, is now a dense, suffocating shadow. For some, the weight becomes so unbearable that life itself loses its meaning, while they survive on the bare minimum. Luxury in Dubai reaches unimaginable levels, where women are forced to engage in prostitution and slavery to survive. They serve men who come to enjoy the magical Dubai, making a complete circle in all aspects. To the laborers, it's costly to enjoy conjugal services since their incomes are low. Some women who cannot attract foreigners lower the prices to accommodate them, and they end up renting bed spaces where they host men at the lowest price of 50 dirhams. And if you're thinking of visiting Dubai, here's a warning. The areas where these workers live are considered risk zones. Avoid them even because it is forbidden by the local authorities, for obvious reasons. Misery, abandonment, and the brutal reality of these communities don't match the city's luxurious image. Anyone looking at Dubai from the outside sees a modern paradise where everything seems possible, but this image is carefully constructed. The truth is that behind the glitter, there is a system that exploits the most vulnerable, turning workers into cogs in a machine that never stops. While tourists return home with memories of an enchanting city, migrant workers carry the weight of a life sacrificed for a dream that was never theirs. Sonapur is a silent, dark reminder that the luxury of a few is built on the sacrifice of many. But will this story one day be part of Dubai's narrative? Or will it remain in the shadows as the city grows, hiding the faces of those who build it? Comment here with your thoughts on the reality of Dubai. If you like this content, please like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.